Hey folks, this is Kelani. Are essences too grindy? It's a pretty simple question, but the answer might not be so black and white. A lot goes into farming and collecting essences, and the system makes good use of almost every type of content available in the game right now. There's no real question that we have plenty of content to sink our teeth into, now that both patch 8.2 and Season 3 of Battle for Azeroth are well underway. This is the largest patch that the game has seen in a very long time, if not the largest patch ever introduced to World of Warcraft. But do you have to go through a bit too much of that content to get your hands on some of these new powerful cooldowns that can make or break your class right now? Let's take a look under the hood, see just how grindy some of these essences are, and try and figure out if it's really worth all the effort. I feel like this is definitely going to depend on which essences you're actually going for. Some of them require a lot more effort when compared to the others. No matter what spec or class you're playing, you'll get one essence from Nazjatar Rep, one from Mechagon Rep, one from Nazjatar Achievements relating to the Bodyguard, one from the Eternal Palace Raid, one from the Mechagon Dungeon, one from Mythic Plus dungeons in general, one from General PvP, one from World PvP, one from Rated PvP, one from the Heart of Azeroth progression system, and one from Island Expeditions. As I said before, it covers almost every type of content in the game right now. Warfronts were left to the side, but I think we can all be thankful for that. There is also some method of time gating for every essence without exception. This time gating can be in the form of actual time played, daily lockouts on content, or weekly lockouts on content. That kind of covers everything, I think. The time gating kicks in at different ranks for different essences though, which I think might be one of the major issues when people start calling the system grindy. If you can get rank 1 and rank 2 fairly quickly, and then have to do a few things for rank 3, that might seem okay. But if you can get rank 1 kind of easily, and then suddenly have a huge time wall in front of you before you can get rank 2, that might feel really crappy. One example of an essence that I see people complaining about almost constantly is the Blood of the Enemy essence. This one has quite a few different variables going for it, which is actually kind of funny because it's one of the simpler essences to acquire. Everyone can get rank 1, 2 and 3 of this essence without too much difficulty. The real problem here is time. That's because this essence is tied to PvP activities. Rank 1 is a bit weird in that it requires you to win a PvP island expedition, as well as the normal battleground and epic battleground. That's a little annoying if I'm honest with you. I feel like PvP islands have been ignored for almost the entire expansion, so the queues are typically pretty long considering it's 3-man content. Now, if you don't PvP at all, that can be quite frustrating because it seems like all you need is one win. One win in each of them can't be too bad, right? But if you don't know what you're doing, and half of your team doesn't know what they're doing, that one win can end up being incredibly elusive. I think anyone who has a reliable guild or circle of friends can get this done a lot easier than anyone who is hoping to get it done solo. But ultimately, it might also just depend on RNG a little bit. If you get a good team, you're done. Pretty much. If you don't get a good team, well, keep farming up some more honor with those battleground losses. You're going to need it anyway. The next step up for rank 2 of Blood of the Enemy requires you to farm up 15,000 honor. That's no joke, and will take you quite a bit of time. I would recommend taking full advantage of the battleground or arena skirmish weekly events to get a little bonus wherever possible. Every little does help with this kind of thing, but it's simply unavoidable. You will have to farm honor. That means battlegrounds, arena, PvP islands, whatever ends up being fastest. You will always get more honor for your first win of the day, so you can do this kind of slowly that way if you want. Just get one win per day and go from there, and you always do get more honor from winning. That means if you have a team and you can stomp some noobs, this is going to go by a bit faster. A bit. 15,000 honor will still take you a while to get. After that, rank 3 of the essence will require you to get 50,000 honor farmed up, so pretty much the same deal, just keep on grinding away. You can see why this essence gets brought up a lot when people are complaining about essences being too grindy in general. If you want this essence at the higher ranks, you have to spend an enormous amount of time in PvP areas of the game. There's just no way around it. If you're getting the essence for PvE reasons, because it's really good for raid or dungeons or whatever, that can feel a little weird and annoying, but that's more of a problem of how the essences are obtained rather than how long it takes to get them. game. I wanted to talk about the PvP essence first because it does take a large amount of playtime. This isn't an essence that you can get by sending off a mission and waiting for 3 days. You can't just clear something once a week for a few weeks and be done with it. You have to dump all of your playtime into PvP, so I can definitely see why some players would complain and say the system is too grindy, especially when they're talking about this essence. But what's more of interest to me is the discrepancies between this Honor essence, which might just be the grindiest one of the lot, and some of the other essences which don't really require the same kind of investment. The Focusing Iris lets you steamroll your way to rank 2 in 20 minutes by completing a single dungeon. Rank 3 will take you a little longer because you have to collect special items from your weekly cache, but if you're able to knock out a plus 15 key, you can get rank 3 in just 2 weeks of Mythic Plus dungeons. If you are capable and you have access to the keys, that means getting 1 dungeon done per week and picking up your box. The actual amount of time you're spent playing, grinding, or working towards the essence can be really low. That's 2 dungeons to get rank 3, but we've hit the second key difference between essences. Some are time gated by time played, others are gated by difficulty. So how can you really compare how much time each essence should require to get ranks 2 or 3? Anyone can get the Honor Essence, but you'll be grinding for a very long time. On the other hand, if you can't get a plus 7 mythic dungeon done, then you'll never see the Focusing Iris rank 2. If you can collect the appropriate item that you need for rank 3 from the weekly cache without doing a plus 10 and above, I'm not too sure if it actually comes from doing anything below a plus 10, but if a plus 7 dungeon is out of reach, then so is rank 2 of the Focusing Iris. You might be able to grind your way up to that key level eventually with some friends or pugs or what have you, but it's really interesting to me that this essence is a get it or don't kind of deal. Is that better or worse than an essence that you can eventually get your hands on no matter what, but it's going to take you more time? Personally, I think it's a bit lopsided still. 15,000 honor takes a long time to grind, no matter how good you are. If you can do a plus 7 in the first week, then you walk straight into rank 2 of that essence. With that being said, I think getting a plus 7 done and being rewarded the essence feels a lot better than farming up something like honor points, especially over days or weeks. You could lose every single arena or island or battleground and still crawl your way to rank 3 of the Blood of the Enemy essence. Heck, you could even AFK them all if you had a team that didn't pay attention to you. You could throw all of your games, purposefully losing them, and you'll still get that essence. You're not really being rewarded for anything besides sinking a bunch of time into that one area of the game. Maybe that's why that particular essence feels so bad to acquire. But we've been focusing on just a few essences so far, so how about some of the others? The reputation ones are really easy to talk about because you get rank 1 at Honoured, rank 2 at Revered, and rank 3 at Exalted. Super simple progression path, and I think these essences do work quite well. You have that very clear goal in mind like the previous essences, and you can kind of go as far as you want to. If you get bored at Revered and you think having rank 2 is enough, you can stop and be done right there. If you want to push through and keep getting those dailies done, you're rewarded for your efforts at Exalted. It's a really nice combination, I think, and they might be some of the best paced essences that we have right now. The currency to actually purchase the essence ranks is a bit annoying, especially for the Mechagon one, because that requires the galvanic oscillators and a bunch of spare parts. That's an extra grind on top of everything else, which I usually don't mind all too much, but those oscillators are a real pain for me right now. I have the rep, but I still can't buy my essence. It is a bit of RNG and luck with the chests and rares need to get those galvanic oscillators to drop, but I guess I'll get there eventually with the daily quest. It does feel a bit lame to have to save up all of your materials to buy the essence rank, even after grinding to Exalted, because I would love to play around with some of the Mechagon tinkering blueprints more, but essences come first, I guess. I still think rep is one of the better ways to time gate this kind of thing. You can play in short bursts to get your dailies done, you don't have to be playing constantly, but at the same time you're being rewarded for dedication towards a goal. As I said, I think the Mechagon one is a bit too grindy with the material requirements on top of the rep grind, but the Nazjatar one isn't too bad. Now the Nazjatar bodyguard essence isn't that bad either in my opinion. You can hop down into Naz, pick up your bodyguard, do the 3 quests that give bodyguard rep, and call it a day. It's short bursts of playtime, but you're rewarded for keeping at it and getting to the achievement milestones. The raid essences are also well paced in my opinion, with a good mix of difficulty and time gating. The higher difficulty you are able to clear, the more reliquaries you can get your hands on. They drop from 3 key bosses in the raid, Radiance of Azshara, the Queen's Court, and Queen Azshara herself, so if you clear through on normal you'll get 12 I think it is, a full clear on heroic yields 21, and then mythic will give you a few more on top of that. So even if you do a full clear on normal and then manage to get Radiance of Azshara on heroic, you'll still get more than if you just cleared normal. It's a really nice way to set it up that rewards you for progression in the raid tier. That goes for all 3 ranks of the essence that actually matter. So everyone will get them eventually with some time spent in the raid, but the chaps who can clear the higher difficulties will see their rewards faster. In my mind, that's also a fantastic middle ground between time spent and difficulty when it comes to time gating. Now, one thing we haven't talked about yet is rank 4s, but I'm not too sure they really belong in this conversation. Rank 4 essences provide you with a visual upgrade, that's all they do. They're totally extras, icing on the cake kind of deal. When something is solely for prestige, I'm more okay with it having a larger grind behind it. This stuff is for bragging rights. There's no real point if you can AFK some battlegrounds and get a rank 4 essence, right? So I think rank 4s are fine the way they are for the most part. And then one huge factor to consider when talking about the essence grind is how many characters are you going to try to get this done on? Essences aren't account-wide at all. Nothing about the system is shared between your characters. Whether or not you think that's good or bad, it does mean that the more characters you want to play and keep up to date with, the more you're going to be grinding for essences. There's no two ways about it, sadly. You have to put in the same effort for every character. That is going to feel grindy, no matter which essences you're going after, but again, some are significantly worse when compared to the others. Doing a +7 dungeon on an alt is super easy, especially if you have some guildies to carry you along. Even doing a +10 dungeon on an alt once per week doesn't take too much time away from your main. It's not too bad, it's just 1 dungeon per week, and you can do it on any day. The content with weekly lockout or quests like island expeditions or raids aren't too bad either. It's only a chunk of time out of your week, and again, you can do this kind of thing on any day without getting too far behind. Now the daily stuff is where things start to get real grindy, because you have to do everything every day, otherwise you do get quite a bit behind. Doing dailies across 2 characters is mind-numbing. Doing it on any more than that is insanity to me. Maybe I just don't have the patience for it anymore, but doing it once is enough for me. One step past the daily stuff is the honor grind essence. That's an insane time sink, so good luck doing that on multiple characters. Thankfully, I don't need that essence, so I'm good with that. I know rogues do want that essence, and I feel really bad for them. So if essences aren't too grindy to begin with, doing them on ults isn't too bad either, but the grindier the essence gets, the worse it will be for your ults. And there is a very clear progression of grindiness with these essences, I think. Some are very clearly easier and faster than the others. I would actually argue that the raid essences are the sweet spot here, but some of them are too grindy for my taste, absolutely, and I think they could be reined in a little bit without really causing any issues. On the other side, some essences are actually super easy and fast to acquire, more so than any others on the list. They could maybe have had a little bit more to do for the rank 2s to create a more even progression path. So yeah, I would say some essences are too grindy right now, but there's a whole spectrum in the system as a whole. With the essences covering so many different types of content, I think it's inevitable that some were going to be faster or easier than others, but I do think they've missed the mark on the time gating a little bit, especially if they were trying to create some form of balance between them when it comes to how long it would take to get rank 1, how long it would take to get rank 2, how long it would take to get rank 3, and then maybe even consider rank 4. But 50,000 honor is not the same time investment as 3 weeks of getting a +10 dungeon done. As a little footnote, I do still enjoy the system quite a lot. I love having something to work towards, and the essence system gives us a lot of choice on where we want to focus our efforts next. The different ranks of essences let us chase after more powerful effects, and we're often rewarded for the time and effort we put in. Sometimes it can feel like a really long, drudging trek, but at least we know there's something at the top of the hill. I think the entire Heart of Azeroth system could benefit from some form of account-wide progression if certain parts of the system were shared across characters or sped up for multiple characters, that could go a long way to encouraging more playtime, but I don't think we'll see any significant changes to essences or the heart going forward. This system isn't going to stick around for very long. Our Heart of Azeroth might start winding down in the next patch too. We'll probably lose all of its power during the last raid encounter of the expansion, or in a story quest after that, similar to how we lost our artifacts in Legion. It's kind of a shame that everything we're progressing with right now won't have much meaning in the future, but from what I've heard, the dev team will be moving away from these temporary power spikes and temporary systems in general as we move into the next expansion, but that's a discussion for another time. What do you think about the Essence system as it stands right now? Is the entire thing too grindy, or do you think there's specific essences or specific parts of the system that really stick out to you? Leave all your thoughts in the comments section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you want to join these lovely guys and gals, you can find a link in the description below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave. If you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.